So we're trying this in a different format today. We're going for anybody under 200,000 coins, and we're going to rank them in a position of where I think they could actually play. We've got Elite in Division 1, which is kind of your top meta, but they don't always have to be the number one. If we look and took one example from this, you kind of go towards the bottom of the top end, and you kind of look at someone like a Sakina, maybe you look at somebody like an Abile, a Martinez, and they would probably fit within that team. Like Karchawi most definitely is coming in quite nicely. Whether she is elite or one, will kind of go towards it, but in general it's players that play above their means. Whereas you look at someone like Andre, to be honest, you kind of put him in there. Value wise for what you're paying is decent enough, and stats wise looks fantastic as well, even though he's coming in with pretty much no value. 14,000 coins, yet he would definitely get away being in a much higher division. Yes, there is the elements of an Elite and Division 1 player most definitely can get the best out of a lot of these cards. So if you're looking for coins, check in the description for El Dorado. Depending on the coin amount that you're looking for, the delivery time is displayed on the website, and you'll see lots of different trusted sellers with reviews on specifics, and also the ability to be able to pick who you want. It will also show how much they have in stock, and obviously you can see that they are verified members. There is 100% refund ability and also 24/7 support if you need any questions with your coin needs. Also, if you head over to Trustpilot as well, you can see over 30,000 upvotes for them. You can see how reliable they are. Obviously great feedback across the entire board with El Dorado. So when on checkout, make sure you are using the code JT11 for 5% off your order every time. Discount code JT11. Now let's get back to the video. But whereas with a top elite player, you're not necessarily going to get many of them playing with the absolute low of the low. Like for instance, if we was to take an example from someone, say we go for Perrin. Like realistically, if we look at him in game, you're not going to find an elite player rocking him over like an upgraded Neymar, a Son upgraded, a Vinny upgraded. Realistically, he's a nice card, but he's not going to be in much. He really won't. I would go, for me, more of a Division 5 and below, if anything, for that one. Gray, I think, has got a shout. I don't know if I'd quite go Elite or Division 1. I would say he could suit into the bottom, into the medium sort of league. Now, obviously, when we look at a lot of these players, they are mostly in the higher rated, so Evos are going to be a little bit harder for them because most of them are in that 92-91 category. Anybody that is within a service of this is going to be at least semi-decent. I think Jonathan David could have been better. I think he would be more in your Division 2 to 4. I think then you'd probably even look at a little bit further down, personally. And as you go through a lot of them, there is quite a few that do fit into kind of the more medium category. When you look at a lot of the team of the season specifically, if you look at everybody kind of within that 200 price range, there's quite a lot coming in at the really low range. You could miss out on quite a few of them, and whether you'd want to is going to be the big question. Like if we go to Ligue 1, we see the right wing, we've got him here at 13,000 coins. Standard, but realistically, even with the triple, yes, the stats are lovely. Some very, very nice dribbling, some great pace, the shooting's up there, bit of physicality, but the playstyle pluses are a little bit trash. The Travella's nice, acrobatics a bit dead for the winger, and then technical is not my personal favourite. You're just on a constant battle. Whether you would say I would rather him be in Division 5 and below, because you are paying very much next to nothing for a team of the season in this first week, is totally up to you. I personally would potentially miss out on him. Like I think Bruno is probably a missability card now. Even Trent, for me personally, I wouldn't rock him in there. You could maybe go both of them in Division 5. So maybe we kind of bring it down and kind of go with maybe less of the miss and more into kind of just these four, because obviously you could put everybody in some sort of division. Naturally, if they're cheap enough, they're going to be worth the price. Same when we look at the Ligue 1, you kind of see, especially at the bottom, a lot of the lower end cards, the 20k Rabiot, the obvious Marquinhos, they're going to have some sort of rating in there. We look at someone like Puskás now. I would personally say he again is kind of in that lower category, that Division 5 and below, because realistically he's just not going to be in that top category anymore. He has a better version and most definitely comes in with so many other options you can go with. Gabriel obviously comes into there. I think you could argue Llorente as well, to be fair to him. And then kind of looking at the rest of them, we kind of go into the higher rateds. I think Orejo would put himself in. Busy, I mean, you're not going to get Evo, to be honest. I'd then be looking at Cantona, probably in Division 2 or 4. He's kind of coming in with a decent price on him. Same with Desai. Hamsik as well. Hamsik's a very nice upgrade. And it's a shame with the icons that this is it for the next couple of weeks or fair few weeks, because obviously Team of the Season is going to be taken over, unfortunately, because obviously they don't really do any Team of the Season icons or heroes, which now looking at how many Team of the Season they're doing is making sense. Like if we was to going to have a minor league, which is pretty stacked, a female league and also a major league, that is going to be a lot of players, and it's not necessarily the fact that there is them free. There's always been them free for the past couple of years, but the fact they're doing even more now is just absolutely nuts. There is so many options you can go with. Hansen 92. Now, obviously her base version is getting her into Evos. I think this 92 now would be dropped down into Division 5. I would be looking for potentially an Evo for her, but obviously being 92, it's not going to happen just yet. Hato, I quite like. Højbjerg, I'd go the same as a cheap beast. Very much like Tolisso, if I've got him here somewhere. I think he's one of the higher rated ones. Very much like Rabiot. They're not in that top category for me, but they're most definitely in a solid average zone. Like, he is good for the money. Maybe that could be the kind of comparison. It's kind of like incredible for the money, average for the money, can play, and then just downright terrible. Like, I think Puskás still comes in at a little bit of coins because obviously his lowest price. So he's coming in at 148,000. I mean, I get it. Like, obviously he's a big name, but 3-star, 4-star at this point with the first touch, that's absolutely daylight robbery for your money. So maybe we change it. Okay, we'll try it with that then. Go incredible, good, average, and terrible for money. I think that works pretty well. Obviously, then we can kind of go through a lot of these. Like, we look at a Van Basten. I'd say he's pretty average for his money. I don't think he's necessarily that bad. Nunez would be a decent one, actually, because he's relatively nice for that sort of price. Obviously, 92 rated with a rapid finesse. I would say that's pretty good for the money and for the future Evo capabilities. I will bang on about Nunez as a player in the game every single time. He is absolutely fantastic for an Evo. He's got the body type. He's obviously got the playstyle pluses for this. He's got a 4-4, so he's got capabilities to go up. It's an interesting one. When we look at Rodri, now obviously for him, 134. I personally would say that's okay at best. I think he's an okay player, but he needs an upgrade. The 80 pace is not going to be enough. Even with the defensive ability, I think he's very average for the money there. You could 100, or could you get more? I mean, you could definitely get more. Realistically, there's so much more out there for your money. I would say the same for Rudiger. He was another one that I think is good, is still okay, but I don't think for what you're paying, you're going to get the best out of him personally. Lizarazu's quite a nice one for a left back. Obviously, again, you're looking at a lot of Teos, but for 45,000, I mean, that's a pretty decent card. You're going to get a solid left back. I'd even then say McAllister would be another fantastic option there as well. Kind of looking through a few of them, just trying to blast through a lot. Valverde's one that just never seems to drop a crazy amount. Like, it's 158. I would go good for money. I think there was a time where he would have been incredible, but he needs a cheaper variant. Obviously, his 94 is coming in at 247. I think that's much better because you're paying just 100k more for a double upgrade. The only thing you'd want is maybe an extra playstyle plus at this point. You look at someone like Klaus. Most of the team of the season, to be fair, are going to come in pretty decent. I think Marquinhos comes in quite nicely. Obviously, you look at a few of the lower standard ones. You look at like your Tillman. They're going to be average for money, really. Zachariah is a solid... I'd actually probably say Zachariah as a solid DM would come in okay. You obviously have got Igor as well coming in with the SBC. 73,000. Quick step, power shot, technical. Could be better. I mean, he's predominantly all pace, no bite. But most definitely he's coming in at least semi-decent. Keane, I'd go good for money actually. I think I quite like Keane in this. Makalele is an interesting one. He was one that should have been so much better, but I felt like he was always just kind of in there. I think Essien kind of really bumped up the price and then he kind of dropped it a little bit. I think you could go average at this point. For a CDM, what you can get, I'd be looking at average. I think, what would Marquisio was just such a random upgrade. He came out and he is relatively cheap. So incisive, tiki-taka, I think you could get a bit out of him. Like, I mean, he's not, I wouldn't say he's kind of in that terrible zone, really. Elise would be the same. I quite like Sour. Sour, in terms of pricing, really comes in pretty well. Obviously, she's got herself a 94 as well. You got 150. You have got the SBC coming in at 560. So whether you'd prefer to do that is absolutely out the question. Like, of course, you might as well get an SBC done. But for 160 to 150 with the two different options, I don't think she's awful. I think probably more average at this point. Schlotterbeck, I quite like. I think he was another very, very good one. For a centre-back with his kind of playstyle pluses, I'd say good for money. I would say most definitely coming in with a nice set of stats. Smolarek at this point, I'd probably say is not the greatest for money. Just with the low driven, the press proven, he's got good stats. The only thing that's weighing him up a little bit for me is the fact that he's not breaching that 100k zone and he has got the 5-5. I mean, if he doesn't have that, I'd possibly put him further down. Really like the SBC for him. Grace obviously puts herself in the same as Hanko. And even Katoto. Katoto's a great SBC from yesterday. Very, very nice indeed. Obviously coming in at 93 rated. A little bit lower than her Ballon d'Or card, I'm just going to say it. But 71,000 with a low driven. Acrobatic, which is the only little letdown in the card. But for the price you're paying, very, very nice upgrade for her. I'd go okay value for the 93. Abile, solid, absolutely. I'd even say Gerrard and Kelly Smith comes in at very good ratings. De Jong, I would come in there, whereas obviously the 93 would come a little bit further. Zanetti isn't my sort of player, so whether it's kind of like just a bias on him, I don't personally like him in any of the positions. I think Quickstep is a little bit wasted. If he got intercept, I could maybe look as a CDM, but for me, I just think he's a little bit of a wasted talent there, in my opinion anyway. Allison goes up. Caicedo isn't terrible. I mean, she's coming in relatively cheap anyway, 93 rated. She has got a decent amount of stats. I just think when we look at her in general, if again she was coming in maybe above the 70-80, I think she might be a bit too expensive for what you're paying. But with the Liga F team coming out, I guarantee she hits decent. Nwaneri, Nuno will definitely go into the good money. Peugeot, I'd probably go one further down, to be honest. I think she's a nice card. She's got nothing really against her. The rapid, the low driven's nice. I just think she was most definitely pumped out during the Thunderstruck as this goldmine of a striker, and then has just dropped ever since, really. Schneider, now he's one that really dropped quickly. He was a phenomenal base card. He is obviously quite cheap, but it was very difficult for him because he was already a 5-star, 4-star, so he was already in that sort of category. He only really got the tiki-taka. Again, like we're seeing with the triple and quadruple playstyle pluses, it's dropping the heroes and icons way further down at this point. So I think you could get a little bit out of him, but I'd go average at this point. Same as Alaba. Batcher, I'd probably go the same as well. I don't think she's terrible for her money. I'd say that would be a little bit harsh, seeing as though, what, she's only 27k, give or take. Alaba's obviously coming in that little bit more expensive at 60, but most definitely holds his own. Intercept, ping, pass. Can play the left back if you really need him to. I don't think he's awful there. We then look at Ruben Diaz. I'd go good for money. And then if we go the other way, I think obviously the Cam, for what you're paying, is a solid team of the season. It's coming in at 139. He's going to be cheaper as well. That's probably the only kind of point. But he's got the Dutch nation in him as well, which is perfect. Martinez, I think he's great value for the money. I would even say the centre-back as well, Basagli, I think he is wonderful for his money. If you've given him a go, genuinely the upgrade is sensational. Solid pace upgrade, which definitely does it. The triple playstyle plus acts like it should. He's got the playstyles as well as a little bit of passing on him. I think he is a wonderful unit. For 50,000 coins, you can't go wrong. I'd then be looking potentially for the money. Bronson Paredes be a little bit further down in my opinion. And even Shaw kind of comes in with that 139 price tag. She's obviously got a 93 that's a little bit cheaper. Now, obviously, you're kind of getting rid of the finesse and the aerial and adding, obviously, just a low driven, which is kind of why she's a bit cheaper. But realistically, 139, I don't think you need to pay that much anymore. I really like Lang. I thought he was okay. I didn't think he was crazy. I would go in good for money. I'd go Cherokee as up there. Fantastic dribbling. Now again, he's a certain sort of style, but he works it most definitely. We've got the 95 coming in. I think Sammy Kerr would go into more average for money now. She's coming in really cheap as well, which is always nice. Obviously 47,000 with obviously the finesse and low driven. You throw a rapid on top and that's brilliant. Maybe good for money if she was closer to the 91, 92 range, so she could get an Evo with a triple playstyle plus. DeMarco's obviously going to go good for money. I think JJ puts himself into at least a semi-decent category. Same as obviously Dybala and Endrick. They're a kind of big name that's coming in that needs a big upgrade at some point, but will be at some point soon, hopefully. Roulette, now obviously coming in with a keeper triple playstyle. Obviously got the deflector, the long ball, and the footwork. I'm not necessarily a big fan without the rush out, but I don't think you could really grumble that much for 20,000. I think the main thing is I would wait for a keeper because, you know, Prem coming, we're getting Raya. He's going to be everybody's keeper if he has the right playstyle pluses. We'd go Musiala at 1. I'd then go, to be honest, I'd go Tolisso in that sort of category as well. He kind of comes in with, who did I say prior to this? Kind of like your Zachariah. Solid amount for your money that you're actually paying. I'd go Kane as well. I think actually Kane is a solid striker. Now obviously he does have the Dream Chaser that's coming in a little bit more expensive. And he does obviously have the SBC that you could have done. But the base level of a finesse is fantastic for him. As a striker, he's really, really good. Bentaleb would go in. Foudy would go in good for money. Georges, I'd drop down one more personally. Alexandro, solid for the price that you're paying. Very close to the Barsagli, to be fair. I think what you're getting back from him, you could argue he could maybe drop up one more and go into incredible for money. Like, genuinely, the centre-backs are going to come in cheap by the end of this, but he definitely comes in pretty well with it. We'd go Dunn and Walsh. I'd probably drop down that little bit more. Really, really like the Danish striker. He is an absolute monster up front. 185k, obviously with the first touch, the power shot, and the low driven. It's a shame he didn't get a rapid or quick step, but each to their own. He does have the 99 pace already. Dribbling, shooting, physical, passing, has down to an absolute T. So he's a solid card for your money. I'd even potentially put him one more up into the incredible, just with how much you get back from him, especially coming from a silver as well. It's very difficult to get anywhere from a silver to now a 95 rated. Haaland, I mean, you'd get a little bit back from him. I don't think he's crazy for the money, but he's definitely not the worst. Ant-Man and Diane will come in as well. Diane is obviously one of the kind of founders from last year that was just an incredible card. 124,000, Travella quick step, great rating, great stats. Most definitely a very nice upgrade for her. Which then we have Salma and also Swanson. Obviously Salma coming in at 150. It's not terrible, but I mean, there could be better personally. Swanson obviously at 50. Both have a 5-5. Both have double pace playstyle pluses. Obviously the quick step technical versus the rapid technical. I would go more into average at this point. Maybe even terrible for Salma at this point because you could get better. But I think I'll give her benefit of the doubt. Littmanen would be average. I really, to be honest, I think anything you pay for that card is not crazy. But we do have Jamie Carragher coming at 188. I mean, as a centre-back goes, he'd be like Rudiger. He just needed the upgrade. He needs to drop down in price now, and you get a little bit more back from him. I think a lot of the heroes, to be fair, from the fantasy, was it fantasy I want to say, that you got, yeah, fantasy heroes, they need an upgrade again. Not having the triple is what's really killing these off, to be honest, because you've got a lot of team of the seasons that just come in and absolutely take their spot. And then obviously Bon Mati to finish, I think comes in for me as a more veteran player. She's obviously got the stats. I would say now at this point, possibly good for money just because we know how she plays. but that would kind of be the benefit of the doubt more so than anything. So let me know down below what you think about these. Make sure you like and subscribe, and if you prefer this way or prefer them back into some sort of kind of foot bin tier where I put them in their price range. Let me know down below, or position range anyway. Let me know down below, and make sure you like and subscribe. Peace.